Hey everyone, hear me okay? Cool, all right. My name's Evan Bates, and today I'm going to be walking through some practical sales and marketing AI use cases, workflows, example prompts, and some other things as well. We're going to cover how AI supports your entire revenue engine, from marketing to competitor analysis, pricing, market research, and sales follow-up. Keeping in mind throughout this that this isn't about replacing people, it's about freeing your team to work faster and smarter. If you start small and measure results and scale what works, AI becomes a tool that you can trust and use every single day. There we go. So we're going to start with why AI matters right now, because timing actually does matter when it comes to stuff because it's so moving so fast. We're going to move through each part of the revenue engine that I've identified: the marketing, competitor analysis, pricing, market research, and sales follow-up. And you're going to see some examples of the workflows that you can copy, as well as some prompts that you guys can take home as well. And we're closed with some implementation and guardrails so you don't just spin your wheels when you actually do go start to do this stuff. So think of this as kind of a roadmap to test and adopt AI without having to overwhelm yourself or your team. So I'm not a Mac guy, so hitting a button seems to be very hard for me. There we go. All right. So for those of you who haven't met me, again, I'm Evan Bates. Been with MANTEC since 2021. I started as a client relationship specialist, now serve as a business advisor focusing on sales and marketing projects. My background includes real-world manufacturing sales, running my own small businesses, and helping manufacturers in this region grow strategically. The work I do is all about keeping things practical, attainable, and easy for manufacturers I work with. But my role today is to connect the dots on between AI and challenges that you face in your shops, offices, and sales teams. For those that don't know MANTEC, we are a nonprofit resource center based in York. For those, we have a sole mission that is to help manufacturers in South Central Pennsylvania grow. We do that through advising, education, and partner resources, and events like today. All right, so before we do get started, we've got to set the stage a little bit about the kind of three top reasons to me why AI matters today. From a sales perspective, marketing perspective, buyers are digital first. They research everything online. Think about yourselves. You research everything on your line before you even think to pick up a phone to call a salesperson. That's across pretty much all manufacturing and even so more in B2C sales. So if you have to meet them with fast, relevant, personalized content, the business data is usually scattered. I know that in my own personal business, my data is all over the place, and I'm working to get better with that with AI. My CRM notes, my spreadsheets, my conversions, email threads, AI is helping me unify all of that mess and giving myself usable insights fast. Movers and early adopters are already having an edge. They're moving faster with more personalized and more efficient systems. The window for your advantage in AI is now. And if you wait too long, it's going to be too late and you won't have time to catch up. Who's using AI currently? Good bit. How often? Every day? So, okay. All right, so I'll start with ChatGPT, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. That's my chosen tool. That's what I use every single day. There's a lot of other tools that I use actually to put together this presentation. Adam hooked me onto a new tool I had no idea about. It's called Gamma for creating presentations. You put in a boring PowerPoint and you create a really cool PowerPoint with a couple of buttons. So you do have to do the work and create the data that goes in it though. But it's the fastest way that you can get value, in my opinion. You can draft your content, summarize notes, brainstorm ideas all in minutes, and then once you're comfortable, you can move on to more specialized tools. So sites like AI Tools Directory or Top AI Tools, or even Reddit. If anybody's a fan of Reddit, there's a ton of subreddits that you can go on and you can find all sorts of cool tools that nobody had any idea about, especially myself. But begin with what's proven, test it in small steps, and then document what works. That way, as the tools change, and they will, you're going to keep your foundation really solid. Oops. There we go. So marketing is one of the easiest areas to kind of feel AI's impact immediately. You can create content from campaign ideas in minutes instead of weeks. You can build SEO-ready content, search engine optimization content that matches what your customers are actually searching for. You can generate multiple drafts of emails and LinkedIn posts, test which versions actually resonate, and then you can tune landing pages to improve conversion. The point is not to outsource the creativity, but it's to break through kind of the time blocks, work faster, create consistent messaging across all of your different campaigns. So a few of those high impact use cases, I mean, I'm sure you guys have been there, stuck brainstorming in a brainstorming session, the whiteboard's empty, the notepad's empty, you're trying to rewrite the same email 15 different times. You just can't get those right words, right? Well, AI really does cut through all that head trash and that noise. It can spin out campaign briefs that give you structure, SEO outlines that match what customers actually search for, like I said, and those social posts that you can test instead of argue over with your team. It fine-tune those landing pages, so if you can have it even create some of those landing pages for you, fine-tune it all in one tool, and create a lot of different variations faster than you would even have time to do on a, everybody's busy schedule as you run your businesses. So think of it as your extra teammate who always has those fresh ideas. It's ready, it never gets tired, never going to run out of ideas. So AI, the kind of the workflow, think about it as AI marketing, think about it as a repeatable system. So step one, define your objective, your audience, your value proposition, right? And these are all the things you're putting into your ChatGPT or your prompt, right? Or your bot, Step two is give your AI the brand guidelines and the product details so the tone and the facts stay on point. Three is to connect or generate those 2 to 5 concepts. Probably start with just a few, right? Don't go crazy and tell it to generate as many as you possibly want. It gets a little crazy when you start doing that. Draft your assets, so that could be your social posts, it could be your email copy, landing page copy, anything that you might need in email. And then refine it for compliance, clarity, and then measure the results and then iterate that, right? So the process doesn't change from project to project. It just compresses the time that you spend on each one of those different steps, right? So kind of the quality of your results is going to depend on the actual prompts. So there's a couple different prompts here that are just, they're specific and they provide your AI with the data that it needs, right? So for example, create a campaign brief for product X targeting this customer profile with this goal, include key messaging, hooks, and call to actions, right? If you tell your bot to do that, your bot will come back with all of those things that you just asked for. And then you can keep going through and you can keep changing whatever you want to change by just having a dialogue and a conversation with that bot. So for competitor analysis, that usually takes forever. For me, it does take forever, or did take forever, I should say. But AI has sped that up for me tremendously. It can scan my competitors' websites. It can take public sheets, reviews, press releases. It can extract all of that competitor's positions, pricing signals, claims, whatever the public is out there, the AI will find, and it will give that raw data to you. So you can see the gaps, what they're not saying, what their customers complain about, where they under-deliver, and turn those into your advantage, right? So from there, you build sales tools, battle cards, talk tracks, so that way your reps, your salespeople, are ready at the moment to kind of battle when the competitor's name comes up, right? Oops. They're struggling with this button thing. There we go. So here's how it can work for you. Say you're facing a competitor bid. You can quickly compare features, benefits to see how you stack up. You can mine reviews off customers that complain about your client or your competitors. You can even do that for your own company to see kind of what's out there, what's being said, not on just Google reviews, right, but everywhere across the internet. Then you can turn all of that into like a sales battle card or some sort of conversation track that you can then give to your sales team so that way they have the answers that are ready for whenever those conversations come up. So kind of what it looks like, the flow, you're identifying your top 5 competitors, direct and indirect. You're giving your AI the raw data that it needs to give the best answer, right? So you're giving that to the bot. You're having it gather those intelligence from public sources. It can be anywhere from their pricing sheet or from their product sheets that they have on their site. It can go and it can find those. It can go and find customers' information that they might have put on a Better Business review, right? You can find all sorts of different things that's public. You can use the AI to extract the features, the pricing signals from across the web. That's something that I found that is very useful. A lot of people probably should be doing more of. If it's public, like I said, it can find it. And then create sales tools, like I said, to create those objection scripts and those battle cards. So some examples of those prompts, right? Summarize competitors' X positioning from this page. List your ideal customer profile, the pains, the claims, and the proof points. Or create a one-page battle card comparing us to a competitor Y on features, benefits, and proof. Or maybe it's for the reviews, list top 5 reoccurring complaints, suggest counter messaging, right? So these are the things that you can ask your own bot that make it not guesswork, but systematic. So pricing decisions, they carry a lot of real weight. When you set the number too high, you risk losing the business, as we all know. If you set it too low, you cut into your margin and maybe actually turn away customers because why is that product too low, right? What AI does give you is the ability to pressure test before you actually make a move in terms of pricing. You can run different scenarios, model discount changes, profitability, or explore different pricing strategies or positioning strategies. It takes the process that used to rely on a lot of gut instinct and a lot of conversations with clients and turns it into something that you can actually back with data and share that with your shareholders. So a few cases that help AI make pricing a little bit more manageable. You're watching your competitors adjust their pricing, or you get information that they're adjusting their prices. The AIs can track those signals so you're not necessarily blindsided. You can have 2 very different customer segments. AI can suggest packages for both of those segments. If your sales team is actually pushing for discounts, AI can show you what that does to margin, and maybe that actually will convince them not to push for those discounts. That wouldn't work on me, but maybe it will work on your people. Customers push back on price. AI can help you quickly survey and learn what they actually want to pay and what they will pay. And then when you're actually ready to raise the prices or adjust the prices, it can draft the messages without losing trust and credibility, right? These are those day-to-day moves that makes AI pricing a little bit less of a guessing game. So start with your goals: margin, penetration, or upsell. What are you trying to do? Segment it by driver value, speed, cost, quality. Gather the market intel, competitor prices, cost data, win-loss notes. And then developing those pricing packages or pricing options. Testing with shareholders, preparing for those objection replies, and then pilot with a small group of customers, right? After that, you measure, refine, and then put that back into the AI for it to keep you focused, keep things moving, and keep the whole process without any surprises. So when it comes to prompting your AI, it's important to keep it simple, right? But build out that chain of dialogue. So simple and clear in your messaging. The chats will also suggest a lot of new prompts to you, right? Especially as you go down through a dialogue with your bot. It'll ask you if you wanted to draft those emails. It'll ask you if it wanted to research another customer or another competitor that you might not have even thought about before. So a lot of different things that you can prompt, but it's easy to start with something like propose 3 package and price options for small to medium business enterprises. Small and medium businesses versus enterprise with these value drivers, right? So something simple can create something or dialogue that can generate a lot of different extra prompts for you. So market research traditionally took weeks and cost a lot of real money. You'd hire firms or you'd pay an online, something like ZoomInfo to get your market research, right? Then you have to wait on the reports. And the time that you had with the data, the market probably already shifted, right? So AI flips that and cuts it down the cycle time. So instead of waiting weeks, you can get decisions in hours. And it doesn't replace talking to customers. It makes it easier to design the questions and process the feedback and find those patterns, right? So the goal is to speed to insight so that your team can make decisions with information that still matters. Take that information that you have, that you're getting back from your clients too, and putting that back into your AI will also improve whatever next result you're going to get out of it. So how's that look in practice? First, the AI can kind of write your interview guides so you can walk into customer calls with sharper questions. It can turn your CRM notes into personas that you can actually use, not just marketing fluff. You can crunch transcripts, highlight themes, quotes, saving a lot of hours of just manual review. You can design surveys for better flow to avoid fatigue when it comes to response. And you can help size your market with key identifying numbers that are realistic, not inflated. Each one of these gives you kind of an insight on how you can act without kind of bogging down your team. So in my experience, market research usually breaks down like this. The teams jump straight into the interviews, or they jump right into creating the surveys without agreeing on what they actually want to learn or the questions in general. Then the survey comes back with a bunch of questions that don't connect. The data piles up in spreadsheets and nobody really codes that, nobody really does anything with it, and the report kind of never makes it into the strategy, right? It was just another action that you took. You got maybe a little bit of data out of it, but you didn't get the real value out of what you were trying to do. So AI helps keep that process smooth and controlled. You can start by locking in your business question, then you draft the guides and surveys that actually line up with that question. So when the data comes in, AI can quickly pull themes, highlight quotes, and point out what's new and not surprising, or new and surprising. The real payoff at the end, though, is that you don't have a pile of notes. You have clear actions for products, marketing, and sales. That's the difference. The workflow stays disciplined, and AI keeps flowing. Apologies, guys. All right, so skipping some, there we go. So just some example prompts. For time, I'll move past these real quick, but some example prompts that you might do from a research pattern. Interview, right? Create interview questions, create call transcripts, all sorts of things that it can do to help you just in your time, speed things up, get those actionable insights faster. So sales follow-up, something that I've been using AI a lot more of lately. It's where, because follow-up, in my experience, is where the deals die, right? If you don't follow up, you're not going to make the deal. You might have had a great connection, but the customer is interested. And 2 weeks go by, something might not happen, or you get busy and you don't actually do the follow-up. Maybe it's because you couldn't think about what to say, right? Or maybe it's the notes were messy, the emails, just never got sent. What happens, right? A lot of different stuff. But AI fixes that gap, and it takes the messy inputs, those call notes. It creates a usable output that you can actually use for actionable, for action, right? That means that your customer is going to get faster, clearer recaps. Your CRM actually gets data that is useful, and your team can go in and use that data that's useful, and you have a clear record of actually what we say. So think about how many times you might have actually lost the lead. AI, like I said, makes those slip-ups a lot less likely. After a call, you can have a clean summary in seconds. Now, ChatGPT is good at this. If you have some notes, you can put it in there as notes. There's a lot of different actual tools. There's Bubbles Note Taker that Microsoft has. There's a bunch of different other ones. I forget the one that Adam uses, but it's something that if you're not using it for your virtual meetings, highly suggest using it for your virtual meetings. They even have a little device, a couple of different devices that actually will record those meetings for you, put them directly into ChatGPT, so you don't even have to do any writing or do anything like that. It's all just done automatically for you. So you can create a non-generic email from those notes because you have a lot of different information that you can put into your actual ChatGPT or whatever bot you're using. So that way the deal doesn't go cold, and you can spin up a sequence that actually stays present for them, right? So when the objections come up, you might have clear replies for them. Your proposals could get even easier. You can start with a draft that actually covers all the different bases, and then you just fine tune it. So a lot of different things that you can actually use for sales follow-up within ChatGPT, but outside of ChatGPT, even in the physical product space. So if you're anything like me, sometimes after a call, I finish a discovery call, I throw a couple bullets into my notebook. Sometimes I can't read it. Most of the time I can't read it. And then I move on to the next task. A week later, I can't remember exactly what I asked for, or what they asked for, I'm sorry, and the customer probably didn't get the information that they actually needed. I might have followed up and said, hey, great meeting you, but I might have not given them the exact information. A lot of it's just because we're just busy, right? But that is the old way. The new way, you can capture all those conversations, those pains, the timeline, the stakeholders, and then let the AI actually build the email follow-ups for you. It can build it for different buyer types. You can build out a whole database of personas and buyers inside of that, so that way you have a slew of things to go to. So, real quick, the prompts, and you'll get these slides as long as that's okay. So you'll have the prompts, you'll have everything for you, but I won't bore you with them, but you can summarize your discovery list, you can do your follow-up emails, and then draft a re-engagement sequence that you might have not even think about creating on your own. So AI without structure gets really messy fast. You need to set some clear boundaries when using AI, especially as a company. Decide which workflows you actually want to test. Define what data can go into actual tools. Is it secure? Can you actually use that data? And then what requires human review before you actually have customer-facing use, right? Keeping all of the logs of every single change that you make. The guardrails don't have to slow you down, but they do keep the landscape of ever-changing adoption of AI kind of clean and secure. So you might roll it out, at day 1 to 30, pick 2 or 3 of the workflows and actually track the metrics of it. Day 31 to 60, you build prompt libraries, a style guide, and day 61 to 90, you pilot with a small cross-functional team and then refine. After 90 days, you scale the wins and kind of document the SOPs of actually what worked. Because you don't need a huge launch cycle. You don't need to really overthink the process or the tools. You just need to follow focused cycles that actually deliver the results and early wins, because early wins are going to be huge when using AI. The key to success, though, with AI is continual learning and experimentation, right? Every day, AI tools are changing. It's on us to stay up to date, or you're going to get left behind. So, so there's a lot of different risks of the ethics, risks and ethics behind the use of AI, especially when it comes to creating content and creating anything that is proprietary, right? So it's just important for your team to understand that. Label the stuff that's AI use. Now, whether you label that for customer-facing things, that's another conversation. But make sure you label it internally so that way your team knows that this stuff is created by AI, and you're creating a lot of those guide rails that make sense for your team. So these things make sense for a lot of, as a generic list of risks and ethics, right? But really it comes down to you and your team, figuring out what works best for you guys, and then keeping that confidence beyond, just a couple things here and there, right? So, and because I'm in marketing and sales, it's really important to measure ROI, right? None of those are actual real numbers, those are just examples. But you need numbers and real wins, not stories or potential or unrealized success. With AI, you can track your outcomes of your content engagement, you can track your lead volume, whatever your workflow is, just create a KPI around it. If you don't know the KPI or you don't know what to even attribute it to, ask your ChatGPT, ask your bot. It will give you the KPI that it thinks based on everybody else's experience. And remember, everything that you put into AI, everybody else that's learning off of that data, right? So all the conversations you have, everything that you put in there is being learned from everyone. It doesn't mean everyone's reading your conversation, it just means that the AI is growing because we're all feeding into it. Sounds kind of sci-fi fiction there. But I'll finish up just by saying that AI won't replace the people in the foreseeable future. It's going to free them up to do higher value work. Whether that's the case 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I think we're all going to find out together. But if you start small, you measure results and scale what works, you will drive the results for your business by using AI. Don't wait for those perfect tools. The landscape is going to keep on changing. The tools are going to keep on changing. ChatGPT just changed it a week ago, right? But the companies that win are going to be the ones that actually test, measure, and adjust now. So if you want help walking through any of that, let me know. But again, you'll get these workflows, and hopefully you can actually take some of that and put it into use in your own businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.